Chapter 3. By the time we arrived at the castle museums, my friends had worked themselves up so much about the ghost that none of them wanted to leave the coach. "Come on," said Mrs. Cherry impatiently. That's wrong, will you all? There's no ghost at museums." Dad had popped out into the behind his seat. "Oh, shame," he said. "I do love good haunted castles." Eventually, after much persuading from Mrs. Cherry, everyone got off from the coach, even Samantha. We all stood on the side of the road and as the coach pulled away, and started up to the castle museum in front of us. Huge black towers and turrets looming up into the gray sky. The thunders and lightning cracked overhead. "It looks haunted," said Bruno. "You're right," said Dad happily. "Maybe it'll after all." Mrs. Cherry frowned. "That is not a very helpful comment, Mr. Moon," she whispered. "The castle is most definitely not haunted. Now follow me, everyone." We all trailed behind Mrs. Cherry towards the heavy black castle doors. Just in time, the door was stick to booth of the man sitting in it. "Ah," he said and saw us. "You must be at the school trip for expanding today." Indeed we are," said Mrs. Cherry. "We have come for an educational visit." "Excellent," said the man. He handed Mrs. Cherry a leaflet with a map of castles and on the gestured towards the entrance for the first room. "Have fun," he said. "I don't want to go," whispered Sashi, and Mrs. Cherry hurried up to pass the ticket bills into the first room. "Me neither," shivered Amanda. "The castle feels spooky." "It's only spooky because of the weather," said Mrs. Cherry as a crush of thunder boomed overhead and a flash of lightning lit on the room. The whole class screamed except for me and Dad and Mrs. Cherry. "I don't mind thunder lightning. I'm half vampire after all." "Quite, everyone," said Mrs. Cherry, beginning to sound a little bit frazzled. The thunders and lightning wouldn't hurt you. Now, look at the beautiful historic room." We all looked. It's a beautiful room. The ceiling was mighty back to silver stars, painting all over there with 2 jewels thrown, sitting all the middle of the floor. Mrs. Cherry consulted the map. "This is the throne room," she told us. "The king and queen of long ago would have sat in here." And looked over that at those crowns. Mrs. Cherry led us toward the big glass case with full of glittering crowns. The tall ones and short ones and sparkly ones, and all of them were covered in diamonds. "Wow," said Dad amazedly. "That looks swish, don't it?" "I want to try one on," said Zoe. "You can try this opened on," said Mrs. Cherry. "There's much too precise. But look, there was a dressing-up box just over there. You can try on the costumes the king and queen would be worn in the olden days." "I want to be a queen," cried Zoe as she bolted towards the dressing-up box and rummaging inside it. "Oh, look at this beautiful crown." "I'll be the queen," said Oliver, taking out of the long red cape with a black and white spotted for them. Then, I want to be something, said Bruno, but there are only 2 costumes in the box. There should be costumes to try on in every room, explained Mrs. Cherry. You'll get a chance to dress up. By the time we get through every room, you should all be wearing medieval outfits and a challenge to find the customers on the castles. Oh, said Dad, how thrilling! Not for you, I'm afraid, said Mrs. Cherry. The costumes are all in children's size. Oh, said Dad, seeming disappointed. Ah, well, I've got my heavy jacket at last. We all started to move towards the next room. My friends seemed to have forgotten about the ghost for a time began. They were busy chattering about the different costumes we might find in different rooms. Zoe walked proudly next to me in her jewels, royal dress, and glittering crowns. I wish I could wear this every day, she said. Mrs. Cherry led us to a throne room, into a long, gloomed corridor where we are flanked into long, gloomy corridor. There were in a flickering candles stuck all along the walls. This is my kind of place, said Dad as thunder's cracking overhead again. Eek! What's that? Squealed Amanda as the lighting lit up in the whole corridor for a second, relieving a trail of metal figures stand up against the walls. That's a shoot up of a more, said Mrs. Cherry. Knights just wear into the battle. Cool, said Bruno. Maybe there was a knight outfit some here. He rushed towards the dressing-up box at the end of the corridor and flung the lid open. 2 suits of Ardmore, he shouted, holding up in 2 clicking silver costumes. Who wants to be knight with me? Me, shouted Jasper. Me, shouted Sashi. You can't be knight. You're a girl, Sashi, said Bruno. I can, said Sashi, snatching the suit before Jasper could get it, and hurriedly putting on. Girls can be nice knight too. Very cool, marveled Dad. Bruno and Sashi do look slick, don't they? All the shiny, glimmering material. Maybe I should get a metal vampire cape. At the end of the corridor, there was a flight of steps. This led down into the dragons, explained Mrs. Cherry. Look at her map. Stairs had used to keep on the prisoners. Oh no! wailed Amanda, beating her fingers nervously. That's exactly like kind of place where Ghost was hanged. Marvelous! Exclaimed Dad. I'll go first, shall I? He started to make his way down into the steps with Pink Rabbit. Mrs. Cherry and I followed him. The rest of the class followed there reluctantly. Don't forget, I heard Bruno say. Will you be safe if you get Ghost Protector spray on? The dungeon of dark and cold with no windows. Candles flicking all of the walls all around us, making shape loom up with a dim light. Even I get a little shiver and held on tightly to Pink Rabbit's paws. Very ultra-magnificent. remarked Dad, peering around us instantly. This is a kind of... In fact, I am always trying to create my bedroom. I do as lovely candles beds. Said Mrs. Cherry. It's maybe a little too artistic. Shall we go back upstairs now? There are lots of other things to see. This tall turret somewhere with other 100 tools, trolley steps leading on it. Ooh, said Jasper. I'd like to go up there. Me too, said Bruno. And the class began to make up the way upstairs, but Dad lingered behind. What's in here? He asked, pointing at the narrow dome on the wall, which no one had spotted before. Shall we open it? I began. At last, on my classmate disappeared into the ungrown steps. Come on, said Dad. We always catch the others up. Let's make a quick look.